It's been a few months since my last video. If you've seen any of them before, you know that I am married to a trans woman, and so far all my videos have pretty much been about that journey. This one's going to be slightly different. This one is more of like a warning video for those of you out there who have never heard of TERFs. TERF. I believe it stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminism. I just had my first experience with TERFs yesterday and the day before. My wife had read an article on Facebook. Of course, it's always Facebook where the wackos hang out. And the article wasn't great. It was like poorly written, but like nothing to get your hoopla and a raw about really. But the comments under the article were very negative and hate-filled and mean, right? And my wife, and being herself, had to make a comment just like, and it wasn't even a bad comment. It was just like, oh, I'm sorry you don't consider me a female. Well, apparently this article was posted on a TERF group. And so that drew all the wackos' attention to my wife. And they started verbally attacking her en masse, which apparently is like the TERF thing. So after they verbally attacked her for a while, I joined in the spewel, right? Because Rain, my wife, is quite vulnerable at this stage in her transition, right? She's not fully transitioned yet, and she really doesn't need any of the hoopla, and these people were just being rude. So pretty much I went on very politely. I even started, my first sentence was, this is my attempt to politely explain to you what a transgender is. Still didn't know what a TERF was or anything like that. So I gave them the scientific medical findings of what a transgender is. And boy, was that not appreciated. When the page, it was a Facebook page, centering women actually, took exception to my facts. I was able to cite resources, like where I got my information from, which was government websites for the most part, medical websites for the rest of it. They chose to ignore that and try and pick on my grammar in my typing. Like, heaven forbid you have a typo. Anyways, when that didn't work, it switched with the page and the members following the page. Name calling, like, for me it wasn't so bad. Like, the worst I got was fake sympathy and pathetic attempts at like calling me a troll and tell me to die and stuff like that, right? Like just regular hate stuff. For my wife, it was a little bit worse. They were telling her to choke on a dick and just other vulgarities that were really, really inappropriate and definitely unappreciated. I blocked the page, obviously, because I don't need that crap in my life. And my wife blocked the page as well. For some reason, we still kept getting notified about comments that were continuing to go on under where we had commented. So every time you get notified, it shows a little blurb of the comment. So apparently the TERFs had given up verbally attacking me and my wife, probably because the only reaction they were really getting from us was laughter, and they decided they would verbally attack our 6-month-old daughter. Now, I don't care what group you're with. I really don't care what you believe. If you want to be stupid, be stupid. It's your right. Stupid people are everywhere. But any group, organized or not, for any group that attacks a 6-month-old baby is definitely fucked up here. And it wasn't just one person on this group. It was many people going after a 6-month-old child. Just recently had her very first taste of something other than milk. And they're going to rip apart her and her future, and I just don't get that. Like, that's pretty Nazi mentality in my opinion, right? Didn't Nazis kill children and say things about children? I can't think of any other group that really does that. Maybe the KKK, but I'm not really sure if they even went after children. So when they started going after my child, I got upset. They finally got a reaction, right? But my reaction was to report them because they're going after my infant. I wanted to say lots, but by that time I had done a little bit of research on what a TERF was, because I finally heard the term. And actually this group had said that they weren't they were beyond TERFs. They were the resistance against transgenders. And then they changed that to, no, we're resistance against men because transgenders aren't real, and just a bunch of other bullshit, honestly. And so doing research, discovered that it's a loosely organized organization, very loosely organized. It's pretty much a bunch of hate-filled, mostly women, not all women, but mostly women, that get together and bitch about how transgenders are trying to steal their rights. It's men invading them, and just it's just a bunch of pile of shit, honestly. And then I went back to that page, because even after you blog it, for some reason you can still see it. And I'm going through some of the articles and the comments, and I realized that what they were doing was some of the comments that were thrown at myself and my wife and our 6-month-old, what the moderator of the page, for, I think it's called Centering Women, had done was deleted the comments that she or he, right, they don't use their real name, had said to myself, my wife, and my child, and their followers had said, deleted them, and then in the next article tried to say that the trans people or the fake women or whatever insult they were using at the time had said that to them and their followers. So I'm like, what? Right? Because we got some screenshots of the stuff, because some of it's pretty bad, right? Like some of it was really vulgar and rude. So like we've got screenshots proving that it wasn't us that said it, it was the follower. But I had learned by now that logic and truth has no place near any TERF type group at all. Like, no, if you try and use logic or truth, they will rip you apart. They're not really interested in anything other than being bigoted and hate-filled. So pretty much, as it was explained to me by this group before I even knew what a TERF was, their goal is to isolate and exterminate any and all transgenders. To me, that's horrible, right? Like, pretty sure the Nazis are still hated to this day for that exact same thing. Genocide, or I'm not sure what it's called, if it's just a specific group but not a race. But in my mind, it's like genocide of some kind. And so that's your goal. Good for you, you freaks. And the amount of disgust I feel for this type of person, I haven't felt disgust like this for any organization since I learned about the Nazis, honestly. And this one's hitting more close to home because this is affecting, or has the potential to affect, my life. So apparently what these groups do is, once they discover your existence, if you're transgender or trans spouse or anything like that, they creep your information, sign you up to a bunch of spam shit, out you on social media, try and isolate you from your family and friends, and pretty much drive you to suicide if you're transgender. For people in my position, they try and get you when you're young. They're affiliated with another group called Trans Widows, which it seems like their objective is to get women in my position, or where I was a year and a half ago, who have just found out that their partner's transgender. And this trans widow organization is there to help you leave that person and take their children away and pretty much make sure they have no support system. That's not how they sell it, but when you do research on it, that's exactly what it is. They don't want you to work through it with the person you love. They want that person alone and isolated so they have no reason to live. Like I said, it was explained to me by the TERFs themselves. Their goal is for the extermination of all transgenders. So trans widows, if you ever hear of that organization, watch out if you're in any kind of vulnerable position. Because I was thinking back, like, I don't think I'm a stupid person. And even when I was very vulnerable, when I first found out my wife was transgender, I wouldn't have taken any group at their word that they're there to help me, especially if they're telling me to leave my wife, right? Leave your wife, take the money, take the children, take the support system. They just have a fetish. They're putting their narcissism before you. And because to me, that's generalization. Maybe one or two, that could be something to do with it. But every single transgender has the exact same thing. No. And anybody with a brain knows that's no. So yeah, what else do they do? So yeah, they delete in their in their comment section, because the articles I think are just stuck. But in their comment section, what they do is they gang up on the ally or the transgender or the trans wife, say a bunch of nasty stuff. And if that person is unwise enough to respond in a negative way, they then delete all the comments that made them react in a negative way and screenshot their response and post it as the next article to continue to build the hate. Oh, look what this trans woman said, right? Like, my partner said something to the effect to one of the followers of this group. She had been attacking her verbally and quite nastily, and she said, I would hope you as a minority, she might have said black woman, but it might have been minority, I can't remember. I would hope you as a minority someday can experience the same compassion and understanding you have shown me. And that was it. So the Facebook page screenshotted that and had a huge freaking title above it saying, straight white female attacks woman of color because she's black. And I'm like, what? Really? I didn't racist straight white straight white male attacks woman of color. And then, like, I don't remember what else they said. It was just a bunch of bullshit, honestly, or else I'd remember a bit better. But the only thing that was in that screenshot was, I hope you're shown the same consideration and understanding that you've shown me. So, for the person to take that as aggressive or threatening means they were being aggressive and threatening. And anyone with a brain can read that and see that. But as I found out, TERFs don't really have much of a brain. The hardcore ones seem to be just blind followers. They need somebody to hate, so they've picked the transgenders. I don't even know if half of them are really feminists. Like, I'm sure they are. I'm sure some of them are, right? Because feminists are everywhere. And it really disgusted me that these groups are out there, and it seems their only intent is to promote hate and misinformation. A lot of stuff they say has been disproven over and over again, repeatedly. And when I pointed out the scientific, evidence and directed them to the scientific sites, like the medical sites or whatever, they delete it. And then tell me I'm delusional or whatever. And, but yeah, I guess honestly what disgusts me, because you can be bigoted, you can be hateful, you can be stupid. It's your right. But anybody that starts to go after a 6-month-old, in my opinion, should probably be put to death or locked up because they're obviously unbalanced. And what makes me really scared is it wasn't one or two people, it was a group of people. It's never ever okay to go after a child, right? Like, especially because you can't get a reaction from the parents. It's disgusting. And I now am going to have a lifelong hate on for every kind of TERF I ever meet. It doesn't matter if you're a nice TERF or not. If you're a TERF, get the fuck away from me and mine, because you're disgusting. So that's my take on TERFs. I think I'll stop it there. I might review it. I know I swore a lot in this one, which I try not to normally swear. I find it a little bit vulgar. Yeah. It's a good thing my wife stopped me from responding after I read what they were saying about my 6-month-old, because I'm sure the police would have shown up at my house. I felt levels of rage I've never before felt in my life, but I've never had a child before, and I've never had my child spoken about that way before. But now I know that that rage is in me, and God help anybody who ever messes with my baby girl. Until my next video, everybody have a wonderful day, and watch out for TERFs.